So we're getting used to it. I'm Jon Gettinger. I'm the head of marketing here at Pipe17, and I wanted to welcome you all to this presentation. We're today with Logiwa. We recently announced our partnership with them, and following up on that announcement, we wanted to share with all of you what we've been working on in terms of a joint solution that we've prepared. And so we've got a quick show here today and a demo. And hopefully be able to have some time at the end here to answer your questions. Good. Okay. Everyone can hear me just fine. Great. If you got a minute here, I'd appreciate if you just post something on the comments, your name, where you're calling in from, and we'll get going here. So let's, here we go. So I'd like to also just bring in a couple of the folks that are going to actually talk about the product and the solution today. We've got Dave Shaffer here, our head of products from Pipe17, founder, and we've got Eric Byun here from Logiwa. And so the three of us here are going to walk you through what's going on and what the news is all about. First, a quick thing about Pipe17. So for those of you who haven't heard about the company, we're a newer company on the scene, actually coming up on 5 years now. But we were basically Dave, Mo Afshar, and John, and a couple of the other people founded the company. Really, the big insight that we had when we founded business was trying to address the connectivity problem at the heart of e-commerce operations. As technologists, we took a good look at the market and operations, and we found that the root cause of a lot of the pain in the market was really connecting things. And so we came up with a better, faster, easier way to do that. Fast forward to today, we've evolved our platform into something that really goes beyond connectivity now to something we call order operations, which is about really bringing together the different threads of the business, the selling channels, fulfillment, customer service, financial operations, and unifying them so they all work together in lockstep. And obviously, Logiwa and their WMS is part of that story. And so I'm gonna pause here and turn over things to Eric so he can talk to you a little bit about Logiwa and what they're all about.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so a little bit about Logiwa. We've been around for a while. We started actually early 2000s, actually as system integrators for larger tier 1 WMS solutions. And right around the 2010s, when the heart of that whole e-commerce rise kicked off, our CEO and founder decided to pivot and actually create Logiwa WMS. It was the first iteration of our platform. And that focus was specifically on high volume fulfillment. So not just your day-to-day storage, store replenishments, but more direct to consumer approach. And that takes us to where we are now today in the 2020s. We just platformed and released Logiwa IO, which has a lot of the same features that we had in our previous platform with a focus on direct to consumer, but is also now enabled to really approach an omni-channel need for our clients. And so, yeah, our goal is to, with this partnership, hopefully unlock a lot of new success, new clients, and potentially grow both of our businesses.
Okay.
All right. So wanted to kick it off with just a general understanding of, I guess, what we see in the market when we talk to our prospects, different customers. And there's kind of just 3 buckets that I want to focus on. So from a fulfillment perspective, you always have the pressure to perform, meeting your SLAs, right? Having the most efficient operations, maintaining, retaining that labor force that you have, and ultimately providing customer satisfaction. In that second bucket, we're always competing, right? We're trying to find the next bit of competitive advantage that we can have, whether it's our technology, our people, our operations. At the same time, trying to find a way to keep our costs lower and, of course, find new customers and keep ourselves busy. In this final bucket, we have adaptation, right? Things are constantly changing in our world, new technologies, new requirements come in, day out. And ultimately, all that is due to changes in consumer behavior. So if you go to the next slide here, this is actually just a report we found from Penske Logistics, and it was a survey to hundreds of 3PLs, and the core of it was, what is blocking your growth, right? So for a 3PL, is there a reason you decline an RFP or decide not to bring on a new merchant? And I want to focus on just a few of these. The first one is the profit margin. Hey, I don't think I'm going to make money by negotiating and having this arrangement with this new customer, right? The second one being the services that they need don't align with what I have today. It could be system related, technology, automation related, but hey, I just don't think I can pull this off. And the last one is the service, the support, the SLAs feel like that's going to be a challenge, right? So they have higher expectations. Of course, things promised, everyone wants things faster. So from this survey, I think what we wanted to do before I hand it off to Dave is just mention the challenges that we hope to address with our partnership. So if you go to the next one here, here's a quick overview of these 4 challenges, right? The first one, we want our customers to stop saying no. And one of the big reasons is new integrations, the cost, the management of dealing with third parties. The second one, core to a WMS, is we want to enable you to always have the confidence that you're going to meet those SLAs, no matter what that requirement is going to look like today versus tomorrow versus 5 years from now. The third challenge for multi-site networks, the challenge of splitting, routing, and making sure that you are making a good decision, deciding to fulfill an order from location A versus B. And then the last one is the time to value imperative, right? Onboarding should be long, no, it should be shorter, and we should be cashing in on our revenue sooner. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dave.
Okay, it's great. Thanks very much, Eric. So I'm going to switch to presenting because I'm going to roll from my slide portion to a demo. Let's see. So I'll share my screen and go into slide share mode. Okay. Can everybody see my slide? Or anybody, I guess. Okay. So yeah, first we are really enthusiastic, I think, about the opportunity to work with Logiwa here. You know, we've had joint customers for quite a while, and so there's a really strategic synergy, you know, between what we do, which is, as Jon talked about, is providing connectivity at its foundation, and then managing the data flows, orders, fulfillment, inventory, product catalog, other things like purchase orders, transfer orders, into and out of fulfillment. And so from the Pipe17 perspective, you know, we've got a wide array of connectors. We categorize them into selling channels, which is your Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Salesforce Commerce Cloud, Magento. We recently built out commerce tools. These, you know, Cart.com. These are just continuously being developed. Second category is marketplaces. So obviously the big ones: Amazon, Walmart. You know, you can see others here: eBay, Etsy, Faire. B2B marketplaces like New Order, Brand Boom, etc. Return systems, we've got close relationship with Loop. There's others that are on the roadmap. ERPs, we see a lot of NetSuite in this space, commerce space, as well as in particular kind of reasonably sized merchants. Acumatica. There's other more smaller focused ERPs like Sin7 and the former Deer product, which is now Sin7 Core, things like this. So all of these can be easily connected to Logiwa. We've got a set of pre-built flows, and so that means we understand the typical stages that, say, an order goes through, product catalog sync, so we could pull, like I showed you in the demo, products from Shopify and push them to Logiwa. Other kinds of connections there, more complicated flows like purchase orders and transfer orders that map to inbounds and receipts on the fulfillment side in Logiwa, etc. And then, excuse me. And then this is supported through a set of engines that we have. So order routing enables order splitting, routing, determining how orders should go to different warehouse locations. It also enables picking and choosing the orders and line items that you might want to fulfill. Say if you have merchants or brands who are fulfilling some portion of their orders themselves, and you just want to pick and choose certain subsets of those. SKU management, so the SKUs that are used in a selling channel or an ERP may be different from the SKUs that you have in fulfillment. That kind of feeds to kits and bundles, where people may have virtual bundles that they sell, but you want to receive the breakdown of those line items as the component items within the kit or bundle. Shipping method mapping, so that people can map the shipping method in an order or in their ERP to the methods at your end. So these are all pre-built into the platform, and we're a hub and spoke platform, meaning once we add a new connector, because we have the Logiwa IO connector, now anything new that we add to the platform also becomes available to easily connect into Logiwa. And so that enables a number of key capabilities. So one is the most common alternative approaches here are either point-to-point connections or iPaaS, integration platform as a service. So your Soligo, Boomi at the high end, MuleSoft, things like this. We have a different approach that we call intelligent connectivity. We focus just on commerce. And so that means we have a standard data model for commerce. We know what an order looks like. We know what a product looks like. We know what an inventory record looks like. And that means when we build a connector or when somebody builds a connector to us, the connector can pre-map all the standard fields. So it's not just low code, no code. It's often minimal or sometimes even no mapping required. And this, this dream is really often a reality for simple systems that you might want to connect, selling channels, things like this. And even for things like ERPs, NetSuite, people always have customizations, but then you only have to do customizations and mappings where there are true custom fields. So that's what makes this connectivity, richer than standard integration platforms. Secondarily, there's a set of capabilities that I talked about on the previous slide around order workflows, order automations. We can hold pre-book orders, for example, until inventory is available. Talked about SKU mapping, kits and bundles, things like this. Then you'll see in the demo, we provide end-to-end visibility of the transactional data flowing through the system. So you can see the order that came in from Shopify, you can see the order in Pipe17, and then you'll be able to see the order in Logiwa. The platform is built to support this concept of multi-client management. And so when we work with 3PLs, each of your customers, each of your brands, merchants, whatever you call them, will have their own account. And so that account can have different rules, different mappings. You can provide access to that account for them, or you could do the operational management on their behalf. And what all this enables is dramatically faster configuration and setup, time to go live, time to onboard a merchant. It also enables you to say yes when people come and say, do you have support for Acumatica or Sin7 or Brightpearl or whatever systems they might have. Because these connectors are not just pre-built, but also pre-map all the standard fields, that can result in dramatic speed improvements in terms of onboarding new customers. Excuse me, got a little bit of a cold here. So just to give you a sense, of the larger picture, we had just a few of our connectors on the previous slide. But, as I mentioned, there's a rich set of connectivity across all these different key areas of the e-commerce ecosystem. Okay, so I'm going to flip over and give you a demo of what this looks like, and then hand it off to Eric so you can see what these same transactions look like when you're looking at things in the Logiwa world. So first, I want to thank one of our 3PL partners, Left Brain Logistics. They've given us the okay to show their sandbox environment. And so, this is nice because it's a real environment that's been connected to, back-end systems. I also have another brand who has given us permission to show their environment. You can see a full, rich production level set of connectors. So first and foremost, the first piece of connecting systems is working with the integrations. And so this is a fairly straightforward use case. In this case, it's Shopify as what we would call an order source, and then Logiwa. I can show you in the more sophisticated production case, seeing a variety of different order sources coming in, an ERP and selling channels, B2B, D2C, etc. All of the connectors are going to have a very similar profile. And so each one is going to have connection information. When the end system supports OAuth, this will just be an OAuth connector that's been authorized, or it can be API key based as well. There's going to be a set of high-level flows, as I talked about. So here we're pulling orders from Shopify. We're also pulling in products from Shopify. We're going to push out inventory information that we're going to get from Logiwa out to Shopify. And when a fulfillment comes through, we'll push it out. You can see they're not using all the capabilities, so that's fine. Each of these flows is independent. And so you can flow orders without products. You can do inventory even without product catalog, products without inventory, whatever makes sense. Then there's a set of configuration level settings. So which kinds of attributes do I want to look for in an order when I pull it in? Only pull orders with certain tags. These are going to be different depending on the capabilities of the endpoint system that we're connecting to. Shopify is quite rich, and there's a lot of different choices that people might want to make. Then we're going to have mappings. And so on the mappings side, really the key information here is the work that we've done to pre-build these mappings. And so here, if I'm looking at, for example, orders coming in from Shopify, you can see all of the mappings that are baseline have been pre-created by the connector. And so, people can customize or override those. Here I can see some JavaScript code to strip characters out of phone numbers. I'm going to show you a little bit of our AI in a couple of minutes, where we can generate this JavaScript code and help people interpret that code using this new AI capability we have that we're calling Pippin, kind of riffing off Pipe17. So the key takeaway here is all of the standard mappings for standard fields in Shopify will be pre-mapped. And then when I look at another connector, so in this case, once the order comes in, it's going to go out to Logiwa. I'm going to have the same kinds of look and feel. So I'll have API key-based information. I'll have high-level flows again. I can turn on and off what I want to push out to Logiwa, and then setting information. And again, mappings. So this is going to be specific to a particular client if you want to have custom mappings on a client basis. If I wanted to customize, for example, what we call a shipment in the API or a shipping request in the UI, when we send the order out to fulfillment, you can see all the different attributes here. One thing I thought, just to give you a little bit of a flavor of the AI. So a real world use case is somebody recently came into our support desk with a request saying they have orders that ship to customers, and obviously you have a name and an address for that. And they have B2B orders like for FBA inbounding to Amazon where there's no name on the customer. But certain backend systems will require a name. And so they wanted logic set up to set the name to Amazon if an order comes in without a name. And so here I can explain what a JavaScript mapping is. I can use this to generate a mapping. You can see it knows where I am in this field. And I could say, for example, if first name is empty, set first name to Amazon, something like this. And so it says, okay, this is what you want to do. This is always a little bit exciting because it's AI, it's live, so it can be a little bit different each time. Here you can see it will now generate this code for me. And so I can look at the code that I have here that it generated. I can go into my, I can go into my JavaScript here if I want, and I can just paste this in. I can also now use this to explain the mapping back to me. So, I could have it explain, like, what did it just do? I can have it give me some examples. So if a first name comes in with John, it'll map to John. If the first name comes in with null, it'll map to Amazon, etc. And whether or not you're using the AI, I can also go and test these mappings. So here I could pull, say, the very latest document that I've received, and I can run this mapping to see what it does. And so in this case, you can see if I find the shipping address, the first name is B. And so here this comes out as B in my mapping. And if I want to test this, maybe I want to see what if I don't have a first name here, I can delete that. And then I can run this mapping and I can see here I get Amazon coming out. So this provides an environment where people can use the AI or not. You can do field-to-field mappings. You can write JavaScript. But the key takeaway is the vast majority of these are pre-mapped for you. Okay, so that's some of the work involved in configuring the integrations and the connectivity. There's automations that people can do to hold orders. The time we have here, I can't really get into the AI there, but the same kind of AI is supported. People can set up order routing rules to say how you want these orders routed, and if order comes in with a certain location, route it to one warehouse, otherwise route it to a different warehouse. So just a quick tour, but this allows people to hold orders, map orders to different warehouses, split orders, not split if you don't want to split, etc. Okay. The next piece is here we provide a portal with an operational environment for seeing the data flowing through. So for each of the key entities, I'll be able to see that data if I need to drill down into more detail. So here I can see an order that's been sent to fulfillment. I can see the history of this order. So it came in at 8:45 a.m., was routed a few minutes later, was sent to fulfillment a few minutes later. If I want to see the exact order that came in, I could view the source of the order. I could look at the order as it came in from Shopify. So this is the Shopify version of the order. I can even open this up in Shopify. So if I have access to the Shopify environment, which I do here, open in source, we'll just pop this up in whatever the source is, whether it's Shopify or BigCommerce or NetSuite, wherever this order came from, if you have access to that. Obviously, you need a login for that. It'll show me the order routing history. So it gives me an audit trail of what happened when this order was routed. Sometimes people will ask, why did this order go to this warehouse when I have inventory for it at the other warehouse? And so that audit trail will allow you to say, well, actually, you didn't have inventory at the time the order came in. And you can also get to the next level of detail around the events. So I could show all the related events for this order, and I can see the underlying data, like when this came in, again, from Shopify, I can see the request response details, the raw JSON. So this is useful during setup and during troubleshooting, and most of the rest of the time, to be honest, you can ignore it. Here you can see they're pulling the product catalog in from Shopify and pushing it out to Logiwa. So the product catalog comes in from Shopify in this case. We'll track inventory across multiple locations potentially. So here, if I want to find things that I actually have inventory of, here I can see some different items. Like here's one, and it's got 94 available at this one location, and if I had inventory at this other location, we could aggregate the total. Okay, orders, products, inventory, and then there's some other things that aren't in use here in this environment. Purchase orders, transfer orders. So we could go on for a long time, but I'll just flip over for 10 seconds to show you a more full environment where we've got a live brand here where they've got NetSuite as the ERP, Logiwa as the WMS for their 3PL. They've got orders coming in from Shopify, from Amazon, multiple Shopify sites for US and Mexico. TikTok Shop connected. They were able to add TikTok Shop literally in 15 minutes to get orders flowing because everything else had already been configured. Adding a new order source, they didn't have to touch any of the other configuration. Here they flow returns as well through the system. Okay, so that's just a very quick tour through the environment. I'll flip over now to Eric, who can show you, once these flow through to Logiwa, what things look like on that end of the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. All right. So hopefully everyone can see the screen now. But once the order has been processed within the Pipe17 platform, dropping into the WMS, this is kind of the first level when someone logs into the platform. And it's really just giving you an understanding of, hey, where am I at my shift today? And what is the work that's still outstanding when it comes to orders that I need to fulfill, right? So very, very much 3PL in mind. You're going to see a lot of themes of warehouse as well as different clients. And that's really going to travel through all elements from products to the different rules that you can set up in the system. So looking at some of these open orders, just wanted to call out a few things here. So very, very easy for me to keep everything organized. We're big on enabling our customers to have their own custom views. So if there's a certain filter or a query that you want to save in, very easy to set that up, driven by the user. So I do have a bunch of open orders getting close to the end of the day, but I wanted to highlight, the first level of automation that we see once orders are imported into the system. You might notice these colorful tags and these priority fields here. And I think that's one of the big things that we hear is, hey, I have a different way of characterizing a priority 1 order from client 1 to client 2 to client 3. But ultimately, if one of these orders drop, I want those to have, the highest priority in terms of getting fulfilled out the door. So that's where we have our workflow engine, and popping over into it, you can see a workflow that I've set up for same day delivery. And again, true to the low code, no code approach, our goal is to make this very, very easy for our customers to configure new ones, make changes to, and constantly enhance as their business requirements change. So here, every time a shipment order is created into the system, we're going to run some checks. So this first check, hey, if it's an expected ship date within a day, so it's a very hot order, or if it's coming from Amazon at all and it's a direct to consumer, Logiwa, what should you do to this order, right? We're going to give it that priority 1, throw that priority 1 tag, which is that red color. and then send an email to customer support saying, hey, we've received this priority one email. But it doesn't stop there, right? We can keep stacking, and now I can have a secondary condition saying, if it's not within 1 day, but within 2, right? And the secondary condition still a direct to consumer, or it's an order that's been on back order for a while, go ahead and assign this second layer of logic. So one of the benefits of having a system like Pipe17 is you can really control what's populated in all of the order fields. And that really gives you the flexibility to add conditions that really are tailored to how you want your business to run. And I'll kind of tie it all together with how we do the waiving. So here I have some priority 1s, 2s. I have indications for, hey, it's a white glove customer, or maybe it's a kit order. But with the waiving logic that we have built in the system, I can actually create a wave that's just specifically filtering and looking in for those priority 1 orders, right? So we've walked through different scenarios for different clients. That's a priority 1 for them. Now, once they're in the system, they've been normalized. These are all my priority 1s, 2s, and 3s. So when it comes to creating waves, we can actually set and schedule this specific wave to just be looking for those priority 1 orders, right? I can schedule them out multiple days just so I don't have to worry about constantly having to rerun these manually. And then finally, I can assign these out to my general job pool, but maybe it's something that's a very, very top tier, like a white glove order. I might want to assign those to specific user roles or specific users. So we give you that flexibility. And so if I just go ahead and run this, I'll go back to the orders and see, hey, only the priority 1 orders got picked up, allocated, and now they're ready to pick status. So someone can begin actually getting these ready to go out the door. Another thing that I think we're really big on is just making sure that the feel, the UI, the UX is very intuitive. So even if we look at a shipment order, the flow of how we proceed through, populate, and even modify some of that information is very much inspired by a typical checkout process that you and I might have on an e-com website. So very, very easy for CSRs or really anyone in your organization to quickly find the information that's relevant to them. And then once everything's been picked, right, we have the different statuses to let you know exactly what the next step for this order should be. For instance, if something is ready to pack, I should easily be able to find it at the packing station. And here, this is kind of the last touch that our operators have before we seal up that box. So doing your final verifications, if there's any specific notes, right, those will all get populated. Those are things that you can set automated from either the Pipe17 side or from Logiwa itself. But as I pack, let's say I have a brand new, temp labor force, and they have no idea. They know what a medium box is, but they don't know exactly how they're going to fit all this stuff into it. Having small little tips like the package suggestion model that shows your operator, hey, this isn't just how you throw it in the box, but to make sure it fits, here's the order and how you should orient those in that box. Just takes tribal knowledge and the guesswork out of it. So makes it very, very simple to complete your pack out process, right? Select your carriers, shipping services, and go ahead and generate your label. The final thing, just to show the mobile device, we're very, very big on self-serviceability. So all of the setups throughout the onboarding process, we're not just setting it up, we're actually teaching your super users why we're setting it up, what these configurations are actually doing, with the idea of once we're done, once you're live, if you have new merchants, if you have new changes that you want to test out, you're enabled to do that without having to rely on us to come back over and over again. So everything that you're seeing me do, from the configurations to setting up those waiving rules, ultimately that power is going to be back in your hands. So something like setting the configuration for our mobile device. Maybe there are certain bits of information that I want to make mandatory. Maybe there are certain steps that you might feel, hey, this is unnecessary. I'm never going to receive onto a pallet. So don't even ask the operator if they want to do that. So we've added, simple things like screen configuration, so you can really control and allow the access levels even down to the screen itself. So as a user, when I'm logged in, ready to receive, even the fields that are populated here, the expected quantities, these are all configurable through that screen configuration. So when it comes time to do the actual receipt, process is extremely simple. Any operator now knows exactly what to do because the system is directing them. So, and I think the way this all ties together is as different orders are coming in from different channels, Pipe17 and Logiwa, we're constantly syncing back information. So any concerns about overselling, right? We're pushing inventory notifications. If someone drops a case and shatters it and we have to manually adjust that out of inventory, those changes to available quantity are getting pushed up to the Pipe17 layer. And based on their model, all the channels that are connected into there are also getting that notification. So I think the final piece is once we've finished packing, we have a label, say the carrier has arrived upon shipment, all the details of here's the package, here's the tracking numbers, those get sent back up to Pipe17. So while it is two separate systems, I think the way we've built and developed this integration really is in lockstep with each other. So it's not just a black box approach. We're constantly staying in sync and hopefully making your fulfillment operations a lot smoother. So with that, I'll hand this back over to you, Jon.
Great. Eric, thank you so much. Dave, thank you. This was awesome. We have some time for some questions. So if there's any, you see the comments on the right there, any questions that you have about the solution or either Logiwa or Pipe17 in general, we're here to answer them. So we've got a few minutes before we sign off. So let's see any questions out there.
And just while we're giving people a chance to do that, maybe one common thing that people do ask about is, exactly what connectors are available. So let me flip over and show people how to get that information as well. So if people are interested, they can go to pipe17.com. And under here, the integrate tab, for what it's worth, there's also documentation of the open API if somebody wanted to build a custom integration. But in terms of the out-of-the-box connectors, here you can see all the different e-commerce connectors, wholesale, marketplaces. Isn't that? Oh yeah, okay, Ramboom, others, yep, there, marketplaces, etc.
And what do we have, Dave? Like 3 to 5 a quarter new ones?
Yeah, probably even more than that. I would say we're building probably 3 to 4 a month these days. Some of them may be more specialized, so may not be relevant for everybody, but at least half of those, go into the total collection of connectors that are available to connect to anything. In particular, here that can be used to flow data into and out of Logiwa.
Yeah, we just launched Commerce Cloud, that's a big one, and now we've also got the Salesforce OMS as well.
Yep, and we're very interested in understanding what people might see as requirements that isn't on the current list. So we're happy to take that as input. We're also happy to support people building custom connections into us, and also potentially to build custom connections or connectors on demand, things that might be on our roadmap, but accelerate them to happen more quickly.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any questions come in on the channel, so I will just put this up here. Eric, what do people do if they want to see more or learn more?
Yep. My email is right over there. Promise you'll be in good hands, but feel free to reach out to us. If you also go to the website, there's plenty of places where you can request a demo. We're really big on publishing white papers, case studies. Something I didn't touch on was our big push towards AI and trying to get to a state where we are getting to understand your labor force and how they're operating. So if any of that seems of interest to you, please let me know.
There is a question, actually. Brian Costa has a question for us. I know currently Logiwa is not accepting updates from Pipe17 for shipments, but is that something we can expect in the future?
We can pass through cancels, which I think is supported today. Order updates are more complicated, but yeah, Brian, we'd be happy to talk to you about that use case and see if it's something that can be supported. We understand it to some extent, but there are challenges with updates under certain conditions after the point of no return and things like this. So it's when people make a change to an order, it's not obvious what to do, whether you need to delete the previous item and so forth. So that one is it's mostly not in there because it's not obvious what the right thing to do is, but we'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah. Once we get the logic nailed down, that's half the battle.
Yeah, and I know, from the Logiwa side, we have the endpoints to accept those, but again, it's tying that into like technically it's possible, but operationally coming up with a flow that does make sense. So, Brian, if that is top of mind for you and your team, then more than happy to get on a discussion here.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. We did the questions. So thanks, everybody. If there's no more questions, we'll give you guys back a few minutes here. And Eric and Dave, thank you so much. Great presentation. And if anyone's concerned, we will be offering the slides and the recording of the session. We'll send out an email shortly with information on that, so you can look at some of the details there. All right, good stuff, guys. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you, Eric and Dave, and we'll see you again soon.
Great, thank you.
Thanks all.